The law would expand the Civil Rights Act of 1964 to ban discrimination, quote unquote, based on sexual orientation and gender identity. Not gender, that's already illegal, but on gender identity. But what is discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity? Well, there's plenty that is left vague in the bill, and intentionally so. It doesn't specifically say, for instance, that a Christian baker would have to bake a cake for a gay wedding, but that is the implication, because this would codify into law the idea that any form of discrimination against someone based on sexual orientation is an infringement on their fundamental human rights. And if that's an infringement on their fundamental human rights, then is it an infringement of their rights to refuse to bake a cake? Well, obviously it isn't, not based on any coherent or rational definition of human rights, but the Democrats are not working from a coherent and rational definition of human rights. So from their perspective, yes, it is. Ryan T. Anderson, one of my favorite writers, summarizes some of the objectives of the law. I'll read his bullet points for you. He says, number one, the Equality Act would force employers to cover abortion and medical professionals to perform or assist in performing abortions. Number two, the Equality Act would force employers to pay for sex reassignment procedures in their health insurance plans and require medical professionals to perform them. Number three, the Equality Act would force all schools and businesses to open their women's bathrooms, locker rooms, showers, and sports teams to boys who identify as girls and to men who identify as women. Four, the Equality Act could be used to force the military to pay for reassignment procedures and force the military to accept recruits suffering from gender dysphoria who are not combat ready. Five, the Equality Act would force faith-based adoption agencies to either violate their conviction that every child deserves both a mother and father, or to stop serving children in need altogether. Six, the Equality Act would force a variety of small business owners to violate their beliefs about marriage, sexuality, and gender. Seven, the Equality Act in general threatens the freedom of speech, freedom of association, and free exercise of religion of countless people. Okay, so let's go through a couple of things here. The main and most immediate and explicit thing this bill does, it seems, is force everyone in society, all institutions, schools, businesses, etc., to pretend that a biological male who claims to be a girl really is a girl. This is a law that says if a dude says he's a girl, then he's a girl, which logically is no different from a law that says if someone says the moon is made of marshmallows, then it is. If they say it, then it's true, and you have to acknowledge and affirm that truth, or you are infringing on their rights, which is madness. It is trying to impose a biological unreality onto society. In the process, it would, of course, destroy women's sports, because it would mean that any dude who wants to join a girls' sports team can just walk in, no questions asked. It's not even like they have to be on hormones or they have to have already done the sex change or whatever. Sex change, of course, is euphemistically named. There's no such thing as a sex change operation or sex reassignment. Just think about that phrase for a minute. Sex reassignment. Like you can just reassign your sex. I'm going to reassign it. You can't. Sex is not assigned in the first place. It's just what is who you are. It's what you are. There's no assigning that goes on. It's just what you are. You might as well say, I'm going to do a height reassignment. I'm going to reassign. I've been assigned to be 6'1", but I want to be 8'3", and so I'm going to reassign my height. It makes no sense. So they're saying this is a fundamental human right, and a man who says he's a girl has a fundamental human right to force everyone to pretend that he's something he isn't. Now, even worse is the danger that it puts women and girls in, because under this law, it is now a fundamental human right of a man to walk into any girl's bathroom, no questions asked. If you try to prevent him, you're infringing on his rights as a human being. I mean, liberals have been shrieking about how a woman's autonomy and her right to her body and her right to privacy are being stolen by laws that simply prevent her from killing her children. But now these very same charlatans in the Democrat Party are going to really infringe on a woman's right to privacy by allowing men into her bathrooms and her locker rooms. Remember, abortion the so-called supposed right to abortion that was located in 1973 by an all-male Supreme Court, they found the right to abortion in the right to privacy, which also is not actually in the Constitution. But if the right to privacy means anything, I mean, if we have a right to privacy, then wouldn't you have that right in a bathroom, in a locker room? Isn't that one of the main areas in life where you, if there is such a thing as a right to privacy, you would want to be able to call upon it and say, I am claiming my right to privacy. But no, they're saying, no, you don't have any right to privacy there. If a dude wants to come in and he says he's a girl, then that's it. He's a girl.